Alright, so hello everyone. Long time no see on the I Command YouTube channel. But today, me, Rivian, I'm joined with Alex, also known as Destruct1, from the steering committee, and we'll be going over some of the, well, most of the lists from the tournament that we have going on right now, which is special because it is the first draft tournament that IACP has ever organized. Big thank you to the new member Avarita, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but for organizing and for taking initiative in this tournament. So the way it worked is we had a snake draft where every player had to choose 2 units over 7 cost and then make a list using both of those figures. As you can see here, we also had banned characters, Asajj and Armor, who were just not approved from this season's playtesting. And here we have the rules. So it was pretty straightforward drafting with only 2 units. There wasn't too much competition or like risk of illegal lists. And then Alex, if you want to go to the left a bit, we can see how the order of the draft went down. But we will show these in much more detail when we go into everyone's lists.
Yeah, so certainly there was some strategy in picking in terms of if you had the first pick, you also then had the last pick, except our one friend who joined slightly late to the game. But that resulted in, some strategic choices about what can you pick that will guarantee you or likely leave you something else to pick with it on the way back. That being said, there's obviously heavy competition. You can already see that from the first initial pick, some of the big units, Vader, RGC, Rancors, Leia, Boba Fett, IG-88, Palpatine, so Han Solo, Jedi Luke. So a lot of the very expensive, 9, 10 plus cost figures went pretty early, which is just indicative of the kind of the perception of their power level. And then on the way back, a lot of people tried to get a figure that sort of matched by traits or by playstyle with their list. And we'll see kind of how that worked out in the end.
Yeah. So we'll be going ahead and showing you each of these lists in the new list builder from Adam or 2-Bit NZ. If you guys have not seen that already, please do check it out if you're interested in playing Skirmish at all. It is fantastic. He made this absolutely for free, just as a fan project for the community. So big thank you to Adam for that one.
Absolutely, yeah. It's extremely convenient tool to use. You can always save and share and export your lists and directly load them into the Vassal game module using the buttons at the top. And it makes for really good list planning as it gives you a bunch of details about like what units are in your list, how much health you have, how many activations you have, all these sort of things. All right, so first off, in no particular order, we just assembled a list that were selected in the list builder. And we'll start with the 2 picks were IG-88 on the forward end and Bantha Rider on the reverse end, which is an interesting combo, particularly because they don't share any traits, Droid Hunter and Creature Brawler.
Oh, I think you need to change your shared screen.
Oh, share this tab instead.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, so here is the list builder. And so we can see there's tabs here also at the top, as I was saying, to save and load your list into Vassal. So we'll start with the first list. The pick was IG-88 on the forward end and Bantha Rider on the way coming back. These are interesting picks because they don't share any traits. IG-88 is a droid hunter and Bantha Rider is a creature brawler. But he chose to fill out the rest of the list with a bunch of Afra and then a bunch of Jawas. It may seem a little bit strange at first to include all the Jawas, but there is a command card called Utini, where the Jawas can gain 1 VP for attacking a figure in a round. So that's 6 VP in a round. That's nothing to sneeze at. And certainly Jawas have a pretty decent attack of their own. Even the regular ones surge for +2 damage. So it can be quite good. And it's just a lot of figures.
Very annoying.
Absolutely, yeah.
Surge, even if it doesn't deal damage. Guaranteeing a strain, even if it doesn't deal damage. Quite strong, honestly.
A nice thing to include with a Bantha is a skirmish upgrade called. Wait here in a second. Oh, search the card box.
Beast Tamer?
Called no, it's the one where you explode on death. I'm trying to figure out which one that is.
Oh, right. Last Resort. Yeah.
Actually, where when the Bantha dies, it does a red die of damage to everybody adjacent to it, which works really well because
it's
already doing a red die of damage a lot of times to everyone adjacent to it, so you can kind of kill a lot of stuff this way.
Yeah.
And it's a massive figure, so it's a 2x3, so it's obviously adjacent to a lot of things usually by the time it dies. Certainly, there's some technician synergy, reverse engineer, adding 2 surges and extra surge abilities. The jawas is good. There is also another technician card called, if I can find it here, Supercharge, which would have added yellow dice to the Jawa figure's attacks, making them a 4-dice attacker. So that might have been a good include as well here. But overall, yeah, a very strong kind of VP style-ish list. I guess the question will be if the IG-88 can punch enough damage through on the beefier figures like Vader and whatnot to make that competitive.
And also, I'm interested to seeing how the Bantha Rider survives without much support around it, just as a disruption figure or AoE damage to maybe soften up things for IG to then go ahead and one-shot in his double attack activation or even reactivation.
But notably, the reactivation card is not being run in this list, which is an interesting choice.
Yeah. That is certainly a choice.
Yeah, the command card Blaze of Glory lets IG-88 go again and around, suffer 3 damage. So interesting, but sometimes the threat of it is enough. Although because the command card lists are public, it will be less of a threat than if it was not known if IG-88 is running the card.
That's for sure. And also, small foreshadowing for all you IACP fans. Prepare to maybe see the Bantha Rider a bit more in following seasons. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, we have some interesting things for this, although it's good to see it being played even as just a straight-up FFG card. It is not bad. It is definitely unique, although we'll see how it fares in this format. All right, moving on to the next list, which was the pick was Emperor Palpatine on the way forward, who is just a really powerhouse of a expensive but very flexible support figure for the Empire, and then Fifth Brother on the way back, with a note that a lot of Imperials had been taken at this point in time, so Fifth Brother was a choice.
I think you need to change tab again for your screen share.
And I just changed my tab again. So Emperor Palpatine and Fifth Brother. I'll remember that in the next second. So you fill out the list with a bunch of hunters. So Mara, who becomes a hunter when she's in Imperials, and BT1, who is not a Force user, but also a hunter, and a Purge Trooper. Notably, the Purge Trooper is quite flexible because it can wield 3 weapons, or which are loadouts, which are very similar to the way that form cards work on Claudites. And depending on the list you're facing, you can decide which one of these will be the best option for you to bring.
Yeah.
The command cards run the usual Hunter suite, but with some unique bits. The 2 Parting Blows are pretty strong for the brawlers, so Fifth Brother and Callus, who is also an interesting include in this list, can play.
I think most figures can run it, right? Mara and the Purge Trooper can play it as well.
All right, that's true. Marge and the Purge Trooper can also play them as well, so you're just going to be a big risk of Parting Blows trying to move around these guys. And obviously Dark Energy and looking for a fight will enable you to play those on your turn by forcing the push of another figure. The unique command cards are also interesting. Fifth Brother's card, which grants him an ability very similar to that of Maul, so he cannot be defeated, but the fall-off condition is another opponent's figure being defeated. So setting that up and maybe forcing through another Parting Blow with him is a lot of value. Notably, Mara can also potentially play this, and also Agent Callus's card, Face Me, which lets you drag a figure 4 or 5 spaces next to you. And since Mara can also play this could be a very surprising way for melee figures to get in range, so to speak, of an opponent.
So, I have actually never seen Agent Callus being run, so this is a first for me. I do hope I get to look at some game logs with him playing, especially in this I'd say with IACP being so far along in this project, command card combo lists are very efficient, are very strong. Many cards have been tuned up from their FFG standards, so Fulcrum, allowing each player to draw a command card, is certainly a choice. I don't know if it's bad, because you're running some great cards with 2 copies of Parting Blow. you have some great combos of your own with You Will Not Deny Me, allowing you to ignore conditions, and then forcing a parting blow maybe with a dark energy can really like blow up a big figure. I mean, Fifth Brother is an 8-cost force user hunter. Like, his attack is no joke, so I definitely think Agent Callus allowing you to draw cards and just saying like, I can out-damage you, I will just be stronger than you with raw stats and raw damage is pretty cool. Especially since he also gives your he gives away tokens, so like punishing you for playing command cards.
Yeah, definitely the tokens matter a lot here too, because that just amps up the attacks. And Fifth Brother can also notably draw out his own parting blows if he needs to, or the brawler cards to enable them, which means that even though there's no rule by fear in this list, just Zillow technique, there's actually 2 sources of additional card draw per round, Fifth Brother and Callus. So this will be actually a decently heavy card draw Empire list, with a lot of it loaded into attackers. I guess the one choice is, Callus often competes with Thrawn, or the spot of 6-cost Imperial support. Thrawn is also giving out tokens, and instead of drawing you both a card, he is tossing one of your cards. The obvious difference is, even though he does have this double search for +3, he does hit a lot less hard, and I think most importantly, you don't get access to this face me tech, which can be very, very dangerous, dragging a figure that's already activated towards all of your guys and then wailing on them. Mm-hmm. So, we'll see how that plays out. But certainly with just Palpatine enabling an extra attack from any of these very strong attackers, and then more chip damage with Tempting and Lightning, this can be very deadly. All right, moving on to this another Rebel list. So our first Rebel list of this series. The picks were Hero Luke on the way forward, and then so many of the Jedi got picked that actually this person decided to pivot and pick Jyn Erso on the way back, who notably doesn't really have.
Would you mind showing us the list?
Yeah, so Luke Skywalker, I'll do this every time. Luke Skywalker, and the pick was Jyn on the way back, which is an interesting choice. They definitely do both like their surges, and Jin's shtick is giving out surges at the start. But the list was completed with mostly brawlers, Farina, Jared, and A2SO to take advantage of both the leaders. Interestingly, this is definitely a surge combo type thing, and we finish it out with Rebel Care package. I don't know, what do you think, Rivian? It's an interesting combo.
I definitely like this list. I think my main worry is that it's a bit light on attackers or like health overall. I don't know if... Oh yeah, you can see it only has 64 total health. So that to me is a bit low. However, we both have Jyn and Luke who can recover damage. Jyn obviously recovering about 2 damage per round on herself and someone else. Luke with the Search for Recover 2, which is made even easier with Jyn Erso's Surge tokens. But we're definitely not light on damage. Jyn, on the surface, looks like someone who's not actually dealing that much. Like you see 2 dice attacker, but with the Surge tokens, her Tonfa Strike actually hits like pretty hard, like above her weight class. And then Farina is also like a huge thorn to queen pieces, so if you're playing against stuff like Boba Fett, Boba Fett has his innate defenses, but stuff like
Vader,
ATSTs or Roll Guard Champion or Vader, she's extremely dangerous. Removing a die from their defense pool and then also just using their very strong attack is definitely strong. I like to play her with Jyn as well because of the Search for Fighting Knife, which adds another free red dice worth of damage that is not affected by any blocks or innate defenses, is very good. You can also do it on something that you're not attacking, which pairs really well with improvised cover, obviously. So, I don't think this list is lacking damage. I'm just scared that once 1 or 2 pieces dies, it might have a hard time getting back into the game.
Yeah. A lot of the health is also on the support, so Gideon R2 and 3PO make up, I think, a whopping 15 points, so a quarter of the health of this list, almost, which is not particularly combat-useful health. And it also does have to get in close range. Jared does bring along Jax, who is going to give Pierce 1 to everybody, so Jin's going to be actually shooting with Pierce 2 in some cases, and that's helpful. You also do have 3 spies, so Jyn, Verena, and K2 are spies, so you can run the whole I suite of the intel leak, the strat shift, and the comms disrupt.
That's very good.
But yeah, the definitely choice here. Notably, Nemix lets you bring extra 3 command cards, which is chosen to fill out with just 1 more. With Son of Skywalker involved, I might have considered bringing the command card Devotion, which lets you draw that command card specifically, and there's a couple droids. K2 even could play this. So Devotion as an add here might have been good, but obviously that does dilute your command deck. The ability to move an extra space though with Nemix can be very helpful for a lot of these brawler figures.
Yeah. And
yeah, it does remain to be seen how survivable it is. Jared and Verena have an 8 defenses, but Luke is only 10 health for his 7 points, so it can be pretty squishy at times.
Yeah, but Verena, not to be underrated. I mean, most of the time she basically just has Boba Fett level defenses if you're playing her correctly. Or on most maps that we have in rotation right now, which have a lot of objects that you can get around, like Lothal or Chopper
base.
Yeah, Chopper base. And also, like, any list that has Luke and that is running Son of Skywalker is always a threat. So I'm definitely not counting this one out. I just think it looks a bit more like a glass cannon.
Yeah, certainly glass cannon type with the list, although it does have some sticking power. All right, moving on to IG-11. So the picks in this case were actually Forlom and HK-47, which are both picked after due to a slight miscommunication with the timing. But those were both playable figures, and IG-11 was not picked as an expensive figure, so he is up for grabs. That fills out most of the list with Jawa bringing in BT and Bib for the focuses and extra damage. The trick with Forlom is that because he can choose his trait, he is frequently a creature that can use Beast Tamer rather for the bonus move at the start of the turn. So this lets him move up to 10 spaces and then shoot you, which is quite a long threat range. Clan of 2 is a great combo on IG-11, just bringing in the child for condition removal, for healing, and to prevent that last shot from going into you and killing you by incapacitating to weaken the attack. Hunter Suite, notably only 14 out of 15 points command points used because some specific unique cards were desired. But ultimately a pretty strong list overall, I would say. Rivian, your thoughts?
I've played against this list and it did not go in my favor. His figures having so much movement and a range makes it very hard to play against on these large maps that we're seeing right now in rotation, so Chopper Base and Lothal, as previously mentioned. Like Forlom when focused, moving 10, and can probably shoot you at like around range 7-8 very comfortably with the +2 accuracy and his surge for bonus accuracy. Which, even if he's not dealing as much damage as, say, like other hunters or 7-point figures, it's still enough that just going in and out of your threat range and shooting you and pushing you and whatever is very hard to deal with. IG-11, obviously, is known for moving 5, double attacking with 2 very potent attacks, especially if he has his card up. Yeah, like, not a lot of activations or attackers, but each one is quite hard to deal with. Even HK-47, rolling 2 blues and has a surge for +2 accuracy, he's probably shooting you from very far outside of your own threat range, unless you're playing some sort of similar snipe list.
Yeah, with his command card,
yeah.
He can also move 8 and then do his attack, a bit of a weaker attack without the red dice, but still do that attack with the command card, so he does have a large threat range also. And remember, all these are hunters, so they can play the hunter cards, or assassinate, tools. I guess not IG-11, but these are going to be, and also dropping cards to Bib for additional damage. You're going to see a lot of damage come out in a very short period of time with this list.
Yeah, I was on the receiving end of some very potent attacks. One card that I'm surprised is not in the list is actually Field Tactician. So for many IACP players, you are aware of this very strong combo where your companion plays Field Tactician, granting you a move. So IG can also just move 10 and double attack. So basically, another, like, a normal strong figure's two activations combined into one for one cost card is very, very strong and can often swing a game, especially, like I said, combined with guild programming, which just annihilates whoever is targeted.
Yeah, definitely I would have tried to. He has the point too, so I would have maybe replaced like
An
planning
opportunistic or something.
or targeting network. I mean, targeting network is great. It's
Yeah.
kind of like a bib card you can redraw, which is kind of convenient too. It's a good combo.
With all of these, all your attackers being hunters or droids.
Or droids, yeah.
And
but certainly would try to fit that in for kind of comboing with this threat range piece.
in fairness, I know he made the list like he was late to the draft, so he made the list in about 10 to 15 minutes. He said just to hand it in and start the tournament. So I can imagine some of the oversights that went in there.
Oh, certainly, yeah. But there's a lot of cool upgrades in here. The first strike definitely helps kind of you push that advantage. Black market for the card draw on the Jawa or bib, and yeah, a lot of utility here. So interesting to see how this one plays out.
Black market and first strike allows you to more freely double focus with bib. With this being your only focuser and you having few attacks, you definitely do want to get those focuses. And genuinely, like, BT autofocuses, and then IG doesn't really need the focus since he's double attacking. So it allows you to get focuses on Forlom and HK every round, which is very strong. And then you're not really missing out on VP because, like, you have Black Market to keep fueling that, and First Strike was basically free.
Yeah, definitely. Very strong list. Being 6 activations, though, it will get out-activated a lot, so that's one thing to watch out for. All right, to our next list, which is Empire list again. So we have a Royal Guard champion was the second pick, I think, of the draft. On the way back, an interesting pick in Shoretroopers. Not expecting that with Royal Guard champion. Maybe Riot Troopers, because they're both brawlers, and Guardians would have been a better choice, but Shoretroopers, nonetheless, are quite deadly. Red-green is not is a very good attack pool, and with a reroll too, they're usually rolling 4 to 5 symbols pretty much every time.
I think you need to show us.
And we'll do one more. This is going to be a common theme in this video. But yeah, Royal Guard champion, who was recently buffed actually in season 11 to have a reach, which enables his brutality a lot more easily. And then Shore Troopers with their red-green attack pool and a reroll doing quite consistent damage, particularly when they become focused with Vader's finest. They do a lot.
Shore Troopers, quite underrated. I think many veteran players here will recognize Joey's list building. Sorry for putting you out there, but you know, I see RGC, I see Shore Troopers, I just think of Joey. So definitely fun to see him rocking some of his signature figures in this tournament.
Absolutely, I think I forgot to include his ACS, but rounding out with Mara, because she can play RGC's card if he dies, and a Purge Trooper. Again, these Purge Troopers have the option of taking whatever best counters your opponent's list among the 3 weapons, so very flexible in this case also. The command cards are actually more melee-focused cards. Dying Lunge for an extra attack, Flurry of Blades is also an extra attack. Interesting choice in primary target. I guess it does work on Mara and the Purge Trooper. Notably are these reinforcements letting you bring back in one of your Shore Troopers. As long as both of them haven't died, you can put one often at the very front lines and activate it right away as your first activation that round, which can be very, very powerful.
I believe Shore Troopers are the only Imperial Troopers, like for a group of 2, that can be reinforced.
Riot Troopers, I think, are also reinforceable.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Which are also 7-3. But yeah, a lot of the troopers are 7-4, and so 7-4 troopers cannot be reinforced, but the 7-3 ones can. So Shore Troopers and Riots, I think, would be the one. So it's an interesting. And it's a lot of health because it's 7 health. So it's not like you can chew through that in one activation, usually without a strong focused attack. So it's a lot of value to put on the board.
Something that I really like about the Shore Troopers, and that I know Joey has mentioned a lot of times, is that they are speed 5, which is very good for poking in and out, especially with Vader's finest, giving you an initial movement point after you perform an attack. You can move up to 6 in attack in a round, which for a 3-cost figure with a pretty decent attack, that's very nice.
And they're efficient travel, so the difficult terrain, for example, on the bottom side of Corellia, doesn't really hinder you all that much, which can be a benefit in certain situations.
And sometimes you see them with other like troopers, and they can feel a bit awkward because they are shorter range. But here with the more melee-focused list, I think it'll pair very well with them because they can push in efficiently with their 5 speed, and they won't necessarily be the focus of the attack, so they'll be able to like get into their range nicely and shoot and get your maximum damage output, while Royal Guard Champion and Mara take some of the heat off of them.
And notably, when they die, RGC gets to use his Executor, and they're going to die somewhat often, so this is definitely a good way to get that running, and with the reinforcements to keep that one going. So yeah, definitely a deadly list at the short range. We'll just have to see if the figures can make the approach without getting shot to pieces beforehand, which is always the trick with melee lists.
Quick question. I don't remember Bodyguard. Would Shoretroopers be able to play that?
No, I think Bodyguard's a Guardian card, so I think they would not be able to do it. That's one of the reasons for Riots.
Riots are usually paired with RGC for stuff like that, to force Executor and redirect very strong attacks.
Yeah, but in this case, I mean, you're going to want to kill the Shoretroopers because they're just going to do a lot of damage to you if you don't deal with them.
Yep.
So, maybe that's enough to get RGC triggered. We're very interested to see how this one plays out. All right, moving on to our next list, which is a Rancor list. So actually, the Rancor was the pick right before me. I was going to pick Rancors if they weren't picked. But interestingly, the pick on the way back was Gamorreans, which I have not really seen played all that much. They are pretty strong attackers, double red, of course, and they have some pretty strong defenses for their cost. But the list is rounded out with Lothcats, Wampas, Nexu, and a bit of food for the Rancor, so a creature list.
And, yeah, so a creature list, we would need to see it.
See what?
The list.
Oh, yeah.
There you go.
One more time. The Rancors, the Gamorreans, the Lothcat, and the Wampa and the Nexu with some Jawas for food. Beast Tamer is, of course, good for the extra movement for the creatures. And Lion Ambush is in here, which means probably that's going to go on the Wampa, I would anticipate.
Yeah, with the hunger, that's very good.
And it's definitely a surprise. The command card suite is definitely your creature command cards, with notably a size advantage for all of the large figures that your list has. But notably, one thing we're missing from this list is Feeding Frenzy. The upgrade Feeding Frenzy, which is a creature upgrade that lets you surge for Recover 2, goes really hard on the Rancor, also for the +1 damage, but also for the Rancor who already can recover, getting a little more recovery off too. I don't know, in terms of the drafting, I actually, if I were here in this spot, I might have drafted, instead of the Gamorreans, I might have drafted Wing Guards, which are 3 figures that you can use as food for the Rancor. And maybe you could have even slotted in 2 Rancors if you had done this. 2 Rancors with Feeding Frenzy, Wing Guards, and then a couple other figures. Maybe Bib or something for some focuses. But list also seems to be missing a little bit of focus in terms of Bib or Jabba being one of the possible includes.
However, I will say, I think this, compared to most other Rancor lists that we've seen, especially like Season 10, which are running double Rancors, it's a bit less like 100% laser focused in on making Rancor as strong as possible. I mean, like you said, Gamorrean Guards hit very hard. The Wampa is a menace. Your backline is being eaten alive by this guy, especially with Lion Ambush, You've got your fun little rebel care package chilling at the back, and then suddenly you have a big furry white monster who's hitting you for like 8 damage. So
yeah, it's hard, and the Cleave 3, especially if you're able to get that off somehow,
is brutal.
Is very, very good. Yeah. I might have also though included a couple parting blows in here because there's a lot of brawlers. The Wampa, the Nexu, the Rancor, the Gamorrean. Parting blows would be helpful, especially because the Rancor can just step on somebody and trigger the parting blow itself, which is another.
With Unshakable, especially, he doesn't have it in this list, right? Maybe instead of Devious Scheme or something of the sort, but this allows your Rancor to parting blow with pretty much impunity, just making it so you can unstun on your reactivation once you feed one of those nice Jawas to it. I will say, I always like to see creature lists, and I'm always scared to see creature lists because they have some of the strongest command cards, in my opinion. Apex Predator, Ferocity, Survival Instincts, which I believe, it's in there.
Yeah, Ferocity is just a bonus attack for 1 point. Survival Instincts is a block and evade, which is even better than its fuel upgrade equivalent, although it is for only 1 creature. Wild Fury for another extra attack. Yeah, and Focus. There's definitely a lot of very high value cards here for sure.
Yeah. And then 2 Pummels is very good once you get the Rancor near everything. It is a massive figure 2x3, so you're probably adjacent to everything, especially with reach. So like, if you're anywhere near their deployment zone, your Pummel is usually just 2 attacks, with which you can cleave 3. Like, I think any long-time viewer, or not even that long-time viewer, in like the past year or 2, have seen Rancors and know just how strong they can be.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting take. I think it could probably optimize a little bit, but definitely it's going to be a lot of attacks going out. So the question is can you deal with that in any way?
Yep.
Moving on to, remembering to flip the tab this time, to a take on an old style, which is Han Ranger. So the pick was Han on the way forward and Rangers on the way back. Of course, Han should be always used with his unique upgrades that kind of balanced him out. Rogue Smuggler for 2 points. And the list is rounded out with a couple smugglers, Jyn and Saska, Gideon 3PO for focuses, and a smuggler and a Jawa, which is interesting. I think the goal here was to get to 8 activations. Han usually wants to see 8, even preferably 9 if you can, just so he can combo his movement with his end of round attack that is provided by Rogue Smuggler. Command cards are the Smuggler cards, Heightened for and tools. Surprised not to see Assassinate in here. Probably the points make it difficult. And Call the Vanguard, of course, with Alliance Rangers costing 4 is a strong attack.
Yeah, I haven't seen Alliance Rangers outside of my own tabletop games where we just play with FFG cards, and I wasn't part of like Imperial Assault back when Alliance Rangers was a thing, so I'm pretty happy to see this. I know the player playing it is a returning player who has not played for a while. The command cards make me scared. On the lam, run for cover, in the shadows, all very annoying to face and can really just like change your plans completely. Stimulants, also a good card. As you mentioned, like in your earlier rounds, you can just focus up everyone with 3PO or Gideon, this card, and then just get ready for very strong last, first, and initiative swing attacks, which is what Han wants to do.
Yeah, especially Han, followed by an activation of 4 guys that are probably all focused, and they can reroll their dice, so they're never going to really miss you. They're going to do Pierce 1 plus 2. It's going to be a lot. I like the inclusion of Fool Me Once. I think there was some talk about, we'll see why this might be useful in a couple lists. A little bit of a unique card, but that's going to be a meta call for sure.
Yeah, hint, it's Jedi.
Hint, just a little hint, yeah. But I definitely think it's a strong take. Maybe I would have included Bodhi instead of the Smuggler. Bodhi lets everybody move. Great.
Yeah.
He's also 2 points, but he lets everybody move first. A little bonus with the tokens, not really much token synergy to go around here.
Especially if they have to be non-focused, which...
Yeah, they'll be focused.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you know, he does bring a little bit of additional movement to the table. That can help, especially on some big maps like Lothal, to get you just that one more space so you can make that first attack with Han moving 8 at the end of the first round. Or getting and pushing him 2 more, so maybe even up to 10. But yeah, definitely going to be very strong list to watch out for. The trick, obviously, is you don't want your Rangers to get taken down by 1 or 2 figures, because 1 Ranger is not really that good, and 3 Rangers is really good.
Yeah, and I think this map rotation is actually pretty good for long-range maps, like for long-range lists like these. I know in the past few months with Endor and then Corellia, and what was the other map we had before that one?
ISB. Well, that was a long one, though.
Yeah.
But Endor, ISB.
They were mostly melee-focused lists being played, so
yeah.
I think with Lothal and Chopper coming back, these kind of lists can shine again.
Certainly. Yeah, it seems like it's so far been a pretty good balance between Rebels and Empire and Mercenaries. But now we have actually my list here, which is the first of the Jedi list we will see. So I drafted Leia on my way forward, and then I came out with Cal on the way back. Both Luke's and Kanan had already been picked, I think. So we were fighting over the Jedi here for sure. Yoda is obviously one of the most powerful supports in the game. It's a focus and a draw with Channel the Fourth, which is a unique combo. So Yoda's ability forces you to bomb deck a card if you draw, but Channel draws you one less card and searches for a card instead. So you end up net drawing a card with Yoda and Channel. My choice here was to bring Migs into the game. An interesting combo I haven't tried before, where Leia can use her battlefield leadership on Migs to let him move a space, but then his droid arm lets him see another space in front of that. So Leia can be sometimes difficult to trigger because of the space just involved. You have to be able to both see the same target, but Migs can often solve that problem. I think CT is just kind of a powerhouse include for the tokens to feed Migs and everybody else, really. And of course, the card that we were foreshadowing about Fool Me Once is Knowledge and Defense. This is a redrawable black dice from your Force users, and so setting this out into the Nether will be a good choice for many lists that do not want to face repeatedly stacked defenses.
So I have played against you very many times, and very many times, like quite a few of those times, was against your box Jedi list, which is quite different than this, but based around the same principle of you have Leia, Luke, and CT and Kanan, which all provide very strong defensive bonuses and can recover, and then you're repeatedly just drawing knowledge and defense and trying to box around 3PO for the bonus evades and basically just take no damage from whatever your opponent throws at you. How do you think this list will fare since you don't have all those defensive tricks? What are some things that you're gaining from these new figures?
Yeah, so Cal does have a little bit of recovery, actually. His command card lets him bring in the droid that everyone who's played the video game will know, BD1, who lets anybody recover 2, which is definitely a strong choice there. He also does have the tech where he can slow a figure at the start of the round, so you won't be able to your opponent will be able to activate that figure first, rather. And so that can also decrease the damage intake. With Migs, you're really getting that return fire. So if Migs gets shot, he's the only figure who does not reflect damage from Yoda because he's not a rebel figure, but if you shoot him, you're still taking his attack back anyway. So that's a benefit. You also do get 2 spies here, which lets you run Calm Disrupt, so maybe you can take out a Parting Blow or any other 2-cost bonus attack type card that will save you a bit.
Yeah, that's surprising. You don't often think of a list like that as being a spy list, but the sneaky Calm Disrupt can definitely get some people off guard.
Yeah, I think that's probably the most of it. You have a second chance in this case for another just kind of bit of staying around. The thing is that Leia does get you to recycle the cards. So in this case, recycling a Call the Vanguard or a Get Behind Me even can be very strong in this case. So, so far it seems like it's working well, but we'll have to see how it plays out against lists that do a lot of focus damage, like Hunters, who can actually punch through some of the stacked defenses in this list.
Cool. Well, I hope I don't play against you.
Well, we'll have to see. I am not the only Jedi running around.
That is true.
We'll see that in the future. So, moving on, we have another interesting list here, which is actually, believe it or not, an Imperial list, but also uses Migs, who was not picked, so it was available for everybody to pick. The choices here were Iden and Kayn Somos, both of whom are quite powerhouse figures. Iden comes with her droid, also similar to Cal, and therefore is also another user of the Field Tactician command card, which is actually in this list for that extra move for threat range. The idea here, I think, is that you want to give Migs a bunch of attacks with his return fire, with Kayn Somos, etc. And that's annoying because Migs obviously hits with his token every time, and is very, very hard to kill. What are your thoughts, Rivian, here?
I like this list. I run my own Kayn Somos Iden Versio list. I'd use it with Spy Troopers who can stay in the back and play very well with Kayn Somos since they can't be really shot at. Migs is very good because he can stay hidden and, like you mentioned in your list, shoot from one space away. So you think you're safe, but then Kayn comes around, gives 2 attacks. Iden can play very far back and still shoot you with her bonus 4 accuracy when you spend a token, which you can generate either from Dio or from Thrawn, who's in this list. The one thing I'm surprised about is Del Meeko. So
so Del Meeko can actually use his ability on Dio, who is a droid, notably, so he can get it off. It's a little funny, but it works.
Yeah, and then because then he can give himself tokens and recover, and honestly, Del Meeko just like baseline is pretty decent for a 5-cost like damage support. Pretty good, honestly. Like his attack is quite decent. He has long range, so he can complement the Kayn Somos package as a trooper.
Iden also, yeah.
So like, it's surprising, but it's not that out of left field. Like he does complement the list. He's a spy. He's a trooper. So he supports like a lot of the traits that you're trying to build around.
Yeah, I think the idea here also is you can strat shift at some point, so you can build up some command card advantage, and then your covering fire can set up stuns. Lambs, of course, if you shoot Migs, again, he's going to land you at some point. So a lot of weight is put into Migs, of course. The question is, if Migs goes down, what happens to the rest of your list? Which is, I think, one of the downsides of putting so much investment behind one figure, however critical that figure is. But Del Meeko also brings you the support specialist, which lets you give another attack to Migs.
Yeah, or, I mean, this one can give an attack to Iden, also, who tokened up, I think, probably deals more damage than Migs, generally, with the... Because her tokens count for 2, right?
Her tokens do count for 2. But Migs does have that surge for +2, which Iden does not, so he's also usually attacking with the token. So it can be good. It's also just so much easier for Migs to have line of sight to something, even when he's safe, because of that droid arm. So, but yeah, no, definitely... a move out, and notably Kayn can also focus both Iden and Migs, and focus is not something you see in Empire a whole lot, but certainly focus hits really hard. Also even Del Meeko too, turning these guys into 4-dice attackers, which is definitely something to be afraid of.
Yeah, I think the name of the game with this list will be to use your spy tricks and your on the lam and covering fires to prevent your opponent from ever coming next to you or being able to shoot you. And Thrawn, obviously, pitching the command cards will make it so it's harder for your opponents to build up a strategy or to build up an attack.
Yeah, I think I actually forgot to include Zillow technique in this list, which is the 40th point. So yeah, Zillow will also help with some of those defenses, which notably Migs can also use. So there is a little bit of defense, but we'll have to see how it goes. All right, moving on to another scum list here. This time the picks were, I believe, HKs on the front end, which are quite flexible because they can also commonly come into Empire to be used with Soren as a very dangerous type list. But then a lot of Empire folks got taken, and so I think Krrsantan was the pick on the way back, and then the list was just filled out with a bunch of hunters. I notably really like the hired guns black market combo. So black market, if you take the strain as a damage on the hired gun, they become focused from self-preservation. And so that's a nice way of drawing a card, but still that 6-point combo is still giving you 2 attackers.
Hired gun's highly underrated because you always think, oh, they won't deal that much damage. You don't really want to shoot at them because they can shoot back. But over the course of a game, you're often looking at 2 hired guns doing like 2 attacks each. So you're usually looking at like 10 damage.
Yeah, 10. I mean, if they're focused from the black market, it could be 3 or 4 damage per shot, which is a lot for a 3-point figure. Absolutely, yeah.
So it's they're very good. You also have Greedo in here as a cheap way to play all your hunter command cards. Greedo can be very strong when focused.
Yeah, 3 greens plus 1. The only problem, of course, is the slow on the draw, so you got to really set up those one ways, which are a little harder on these maps, but still definitely possible.
And also just isn't punished by melee figures, which we've seen quite a lot of in the list so far.
Yeah, that's true. And of course, Cad Bane giving that extra movement is a nice little piece of tech, and his command card to suddenly attack somebody, which can be a problem.
Cad Bane is another figure who punches quite far above his weight class in terms of damage. Is usually, like held back by his 9 health and just a white dice. But just having a 5 cost 3 dice attacker like green, red, surge for +2, he hurts.
Yeah, it's a mix. Notably, Krrsantan and Onar and Cad Bane and the high guys are all relatively short range figures. Maybe 3 or 4 range. HKs can sit back and do much longer than that, which helps with their priority targets. They can see through other figures. So we'll have to see a mix. Onar, of course, brings his extra protection, so doing anybody but Onar is a problem. And then a lot of these guys are also autofocusers. Krrsantan, of course, and Cad Bane can autofocus, and so Bib doesn't have to do quite as much heavy lifting.
Yeah, and the hired guns with the black market.
And the hired guns, of course, right? So Bib maybe is enough here. Definitely a lot of damage output, a very efficient list. You're looking at, basically 6 attackers. So we'll have to see this one.
And who is Technician training for again?
Oh gosh, that's a good question. Maybe it shouldn't be in this list.
Yeah, I think that might have been a mistake.
Maybe a mistake. There's no technicians in this list, but there's also no technician command cards. Notably, anyway, technician training is generally just a thing we assume is in the game because most of the IACP cards have been updated to include technician as one of their traits.
Yeah.
So this is mainly if you're using the old FFG cards and you want to print out the cards and you don't want to reprint some of the FFG cards. Moving on to Rivian's list. I'll let him introduce his own list.
So, I saw that my favorite character, Boba Fett, was still open, and I had previously won a tourney with this list, so I thought, why not try to run it back? So I do have the nerfed version of Dengar, but basically the goal of this list is just to make your opponents unable to play against you. So you have Boba Fett with his flamethrower, which weakens and deals strain and damage, and then you have Dengar with the conditions, and you try to run it with Punishing Strike so that Boba Fett can move like 8, use 2 movement points to stun and AoE damage, and use obviously the Punishing Strike to turn your weaken into a stun, and then pull someone into line of sight for your other guys to wail on, and then you obviously have Dengar, who's very great at dishing out conditions. And your Super Commandos are just pretty flexible units that deal decent damage. You have direct damage if you're running into queen pieces. Very good users for fuel upgrade, which I want obviously on Boba Fett already. And then you just have Afra to reuse your great 0 and 1 cost command cards. So like fuel upgrade, you really like urgency and opportunistic and just movement tech in general for Boba. And finally Bib to focus up your Dengar. So this has not gone so great for me in the first 2 rounds. My first round opponent was a list you will be seeing later on, but every major figure in that list either was immune to conditions or had a way to get rid of them. So that was very hard to play against, as my list is basically focused around I won't deal that much damage, but I will slowly whittle you down and prevent you from hitting me. As you can see earlier, we were talking about like low health counts. I'm running 52 health, and 14 of that is into Boba Fett, which, despite his great static defenses, can just roll a single block on the black die and can die pretty quick. So the trick is really to just weave in and out of combat and not let your opponent get shots off at you.
Yeah, I think also under duress helps for sure with that strain. So the strain, tossing 2 cards and then cards like out of time dealing a lot of strain to your opponent in the late game. So you can often do a lot of direct damage.
Yeah.
Doesn't you have to go through defense dice?
I rarely actually just roll dice with this list. Most of my damage is coming from blue dice from Super Commandos, Boba Fett's flamethrower, and like I said, like overrun to just go around on people. As you can see, almost all my figures are hunters, but I run basically no hunter cards. I'm trying to really support the vehicle package and just the survivability of the list. So things like Dirty Trick, which if you pull someone in with Boba can stun or deal 3 strain, which can just easily become 3 damage, as you can deplete under duress for force people to take the strainest damage. Or to just make them discard 6 cards. So, that can be pretty good, tossing half their deck. Mandalorian tactics, obviously, with free attack or movement. You're running Payback, which is one of the reasons why Dengar is so strong. Though the nerfed version, honestly, I have been feeling it. He used to be a bonus surge. He used to have a bonus surge and 12 health. Without the bonus surge, I'm not getting as many conditions. Oh, and the big thing is that he can no longer splash conditions to 2 spaces away. It has to be adjacent. So I'm definitely...
Yeah, so certainly he needs a focus or something to really get the conditions through, but of course with his payback with the +2 surges, you're definitely going to stun the guy that just shot you, which can leave someone out in the open, which is obviously a dangerous thing to be shooting Dengar.
So the most success I've had with this list are are against lists that try to box up or play very grouped up. And this is where it really shines. On the larger maps that we have right now, it's not the greatest, which is what I'm discovering, going down 0-2, though part of it is just due to me misplaying. But yeah, honestly, this is just one of my favorite lists. I think it's really fun to just go around flamethrowing people, pulling people to you, moving them out of position when they thought they were safe, and just grinding out the game.
It's also very difficult to play against because Boba has such a massive threat range that you're never really quite sure if you're safe, especially if he has urgency or opportunistic or just some way to get extra movement points that really can screw up your positioning completely. It counters things like Yoda because you can drag people away from Yoda, so any positioning type-based list have a tough time. But of course, it is not doing a lot of damage, per se, except the direct damage. So if you can tank it, then maybe it's survivable. Or if you can just do enough damage to Boba in a short period of time to kill him, then obviously it's going to be a little tough. Yeah. Boba's changed a lot in his IACP version from his FFG version, so he's a very fun guy to play, that's for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And you mentioned like positioning lists and pulling people out. Very fun, however, not very easy to do sometimes. Like I mentioned, the big maps, like you run out of movement points a lot quicker than you think. So I've had moments where I'm like, I guess I just have to like attack, but he's not worth a 13-point attack. So
Yeah, the attack is usually emergency use only, or like to kill off a figure that's like almost dead. So certainly a lot of the value comes from the flexibility. All right, in the home stretch here, so we have another scum list, and I think this is the one that Rivian faced. The choices were Mando on the way forward and Bossk on the way back, both of which are incredibly strong figures. Mando quite tanky and also has a flamethrower. With his Disrupt rifle countering a lot of things that like to leave people on 1 health, so he can kind of get the kill.
Cough, cough. Zilla technique.
Yeah, Zilla technique, really. It's Empire's least favorite figure. And then Bossk is your, again, an anti-group type figure, doing usually 2 damage or a damage and a strain to everybody in the area is it's just
very
a lot,
strong.
and within 2 spaces too, so it's super blast. Again, you're seeing the child make a reappearance, this time going to be attached to most likely Mando, although possibly Onar. Both has to be attached to a Guardian for a little more survivability and that ever so critical condition removal, which I think you experienced a bit of that.
I faced the child both rounds, and it's pretty painful, recovering with the 1 damage your flamethrower is dealt, and removing the condition, on like the critical guy, not great. Also, he can't be damaged unless you target him, and my list was all about doing direct damage, damage and AoE. So, yeah, this was tough for me. But in general, it's a very well constructed list with short range beefy figures that like to go in. Bossk is recovering damage, health, and discarding conditions while being 12 health and a bonus block. You have Mando, who's getting his block tokens initially, and who has the child. Onar is just 15 health. For 6, which is...
And no conditions.
Yeah, no conditions, which is great. And then, as you mentioned, you have 2 Guardians, so you have great cards like Iron Will, Get Behind Me, Extra Protection, which just make it very hard to actually finish off the people you think you're getting a kill on.
I think usually it's a Hunter-Brawler combo, but in this case, it appears to be more of a Hunter-Guardian combo, which is an interesting combo. Definitely more survivable than you imagine for a Hunter list that is pumping out the damage. Strength in numbers is an interesting choice. I don't know how many combos. I guess Bossk and Cad Bane, Jabba and Onar. I don't know if it's really the best choice in this list. The math is not quite there. Also, this is an interesting choice.
You have Cad Bane who can run it, which is quite good.
And give everybody a reroll. And rerolls, I think, some of the dice can kind of crap out here. You do see Mando and Onar with rolling some, single damage on reds a lot can really hurt you. So that reroll is definitely nice.
And sleeper pick for this list, I've talked to the pilot about it, is Queel. Queel is really good. You have Bossk, who's a short-range figure. You have Onar, who really likes to get in there. And then Queel, as if all the condition removal wasn't enough, he can move you even if you're stunned, right? So it is not rare for Queel to just move a figure 5 spaces in their turn.
Yeah, five is the maximum, I think. But yeah, it's definitely a strong pick. Speed 2 notably, but he does get the 3 at the start of his turn.
Yeah.
He can also play Get Behind Me.
Which, you know, when
and you really don't want to be shooting
Queel.
Queel.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You don't want to be shooting him. Like, you have your big old focus attack that you're trying to finish off, like, the pesky boss that's going to recover 2 damage in the end of the round, and then you have Queel who just jumps in and says, hey, shoot me. So,
yeah.
It's a very, very good list, honestly.
Yeah. On Corellia, with Jabba sitting in the deployment zone, it's going to be a little bit of a liability in some cases, but you know, if you can keep him a little bit safer, that can be good. So, yeah, certainly a lot of attacks and a lot of 100 cards, so it's a definitely solid construction. Our second to last list is a Vader list. So Vader was actually the first pick of the draft, which unfortunately meant that by the time it came back around to our Vader player, Palpatine was picked, and Fifth Brother was picked, and gosh, like almost everybody was picked that would want to go with Vader. But fortunately, the Grand Inquisitor was not. So although he's not a brawler, he is also a Force user, which will help a little bit. And to fill out the brawler spot were Royal Guards and Thrawn for some support.
This looks kind of like a classic FFG Vader list with the Royal Guards, and you don't have Palpatine, but you do still have that Thrawn, who can like give evades to Vader, evades and surges to Vader, which are very important. And then you have your Royal Guards who are giving additional blocks to Vader, and then also giving surges to Grand Inquisitor are great, as he has many surges that are worth using.
Yeah, Cleave 3 plus 2 Pierce 3, absolutely great, especially against the White Dice. Parting blows, of course, are very powerful, especially if the Royal Guards can become focused in any way. And they also stun on the parting blow, which is extremely punishing because if you choose to try to risk it, you move and then you get stunned, and then that was your second action to clear the stun, and you don't even get to shoot. So, you know, word to the wise, you know, user beware about trying to move past Royal Guards. You can get screwed. So definitely a lot of that there with the dark energy and looking for a fight to enable it. And yeah, and Vader's command card being reworked in season 11 to do basically his end of round attack sequence or choke, except that it happens when a hostile figure is defeated outside of his activation. A little harder to trigger here, but mostly done via another figure killing something or a parting blow. So that can be a lot of damage stacked up in a sequence, especially with his end of round attack given by his attachment.
Notably, this card resolves before the stun from Parting Blow, so you are able to Parting Blow, play this card, move and attack, and then be stunned. One thing that I'm very surprised isn't in the list is Unshakable, to get rid of your Parting Blow stuns and allow your end of round attack and move.
Yeah, definitely. I think Unshakable should have definitely been in this list. So Unshakable being, of course, the card that lets Vader take a strain and remove his stun. There is Price of Glory, which helps, but certainly this will be definitely somewhat weak to conditions. No Induced Rage, really, especially with stunning yourself twice, you're gonna want some of that. Force Surge is an interesting include though. That's 2 damage into strain direct, you know, from either Grand Inquisitor or Vader, and that, especially combined with a Force Choke, can finish off some figures with 8 defenses.
Also, notably, Lord of the Sith can trigger off Vader's end of round since it is not his own activation. And you do have Price of Glory in here. Is he running Induced Rage?
No, I don't think so.
No, okay. But Fleet-Footed and Force Rush can allow you to get movement even if you are stunned. And, you know, without Palpatine trying to give you your bonus attack, I guess, like, you're maybe missing out on a bit less if you're stunned, because your end of round you can still Force Choke. Obviously, I probably would have run maybe like, I don't know, trade out an Imperial Officer for Unshakable and then another 1-point attachment.
Yeah, I don't think giving you 6 activations is much better than 5, because you're still going to be underactivated by pretty much everybody. So yeah, maybe Unshakable, even just Rule by Fear would have been a good choice. There's also ACS as well.
You do really want your command card combos in this list. Maybe
Yeah, but even
Imperial
armor
Citadel?
or Doubt, the Citadels is not bad either. You're not really having a ton of tokens though.
Yeah, I mean you have Thrawn, which is giving out tokens.
True.
Like, and your Royal Guards can token up themselves with the stun and gain and evade token.
That's actually true. So yeah, you can actually use that pretty effectively. That's a sneaky pick here. I think the usual one is Doubt because it just takes away your ability to punch through Vader's heavy defenses. So, but yeah, definitely a lot of options here. I think probably rule by fear would be considered the most standard.
I have to say, full disclosure, I'm not the biggest fan of rule by fear, but I can understand why it's very good in these types of lists that are like combo focused or combo centric lists, and you do want some very specific cards.
Yeah, certainly. And then last but not least, our final list is the other Jedi list. Actually, we thought there were going to be 3 Jedi lists, but the Jedi were so in demand that they got snapped up, and so our other Luke player went with brawlers instead. So we see Yoda again, this time with Channel and R2 for going to be 2 card draw a turn. So it's going to be 4 if you have a terminal. That's going to be a lot of cards you're going to see per turn. The Jedi version of Luke, of course, can also play Son of Skywalker.
Very strong combo.
Very strong combo. And the other pick was Kanan, which is something, of course, that my list really wanted as well. Kanan is especially strong because of his command card, which is Protect the Old Ways. So for every Force User command card in your discard, you get +1 plus that number of blocks. So I'm counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Force User cards in this list. So that's going to be +7 blocks on an attack that Kanan or Mara can play. Which is going to be 0 damage, I'm pretty sure, no matter who's hitting you. So blinking attacks, Yoda eating attacks with Get Behind Me and Knowledge and Defense, of course, are going to be things. So yeah, Rivian, another Jedi list, huh?
Yeah, and no shade to you, but I think this is the one that I'm most scared of because it combines some of the great defensive capabilities that we know Jedi are capable of with Kanan, Knowledge and Defense, Get Behind Me, and Yoda, but also just has the tremendous attack power of Jedi Luke playing Son of Skywalker, who can just, end of round, attack twice, play Son of Skywalker, attack twice, start of round, attack twice, and then suddenly you're down 18 points of material. And good luck shooting back. So,
Yeah, of course, the problem with Jedi Luke is the white plus evade is not a very strong defense pool against a lot of red dice-based attacks.
That is true, which is where, Kanan does come in and help.
Right. The question is, can you separate them? If you're a ranged list, you really just want to spread out, kind of get these guys separate. Yoda's going to have a tough time keeping up with a Jedi Luke that pushes in.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, notably, he's also not running parting blows, right? So you're not going to see that extra, looking for a fight parting blow from Jedi Luke. But Yoda clearing the conditions means it's very hard to stun these guys on the way in. And force push is another way of getting your melee figures in range. So yeah, this is very scary. I think this pick here were pretty close to each other. I think it was close to, maybe third to last. And so therefore coming back, second to last actually, and then coming back second on the way back. So getting both Luke and Kanan together is very strong.
And you mentioned, obviously, Mara being able to play Kanan's card, but she can also be playing Son of Skywalker. If somehow with your 4 cards per turn you haven't drawn it early on, she can just play it in a pinch. Mara, obviously, a great attacker. Won't be getting 4 attacks off of it, but, 2 red, blue, +2, Pierce 3 reroll attacks. I'll take it. So... definitely a strong list. I think the name of the game here, as you mentioned, is just trying to burn through Jedi Luke and separate Kanan and him so that maybe you do get 1 use of Knowledge and Defense, but just try to...
Yeah, I mean, these are all melee figures, right? So they can't reach on Knowledge and Defense until they hit you. Mm-hmm. Your goal is to shoot them and then try as hard as you can to get out of their range so they can't hit you and reach your Knowledge and Defense. Or run the secret card, which I'm running also, which is Fool Me Once, to send banish the Knowledge and Defense to the Netherworld. And ultimately, because there's no redraw here, so spies will also prevent the Son of Skywalker, or Thrawn can discard Son of Skywalker. So there's ways to kind of try to mitigate this, but certainly if you've got no ways of mitigating the command cards are going to come and hit you pretty hard in the face. That, splashing, who's the spy here? Ahsoka. Ahsoka is notably a spy. Again, not something you really see, but splashing a little intel leak here and there, or I guess intel leak here, and her unique command card, or a little more splash. Yeah. Definitely things that people do not expect. And she can also move 8 in attack, so you're going to see a lot of attacks from her and Luke, with Kanan and Mara bringing up the rear. So how that plays out will remain to be seen, especially because Kanan can force you to activate someone you maybe don't want to go with, so that can be tricky.
I'll be curious.
And the defensive reroll.
Yeah.
The defensive reroll is really strong, especially with white dice figures that really, really do not want to see a blank or a single symbol. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be curious to see what kind of lists manages to beat this one. If I had to say, I'd probably pick one of the Imperial spy lists that just can blank your strong command cards and then also shoot you at range. So before your Kanan and Mara's enter the fight. Other than that,
the Imperial Hunters can do a pretty good job. There's a lot of Pierce 3, so it goes through a lot of the blocks. Palpatine with direct damage, killing stuff.
Vader's always a threat, obviously.
Vader's always a threat, but he's still only one attack, right? I'd rather have the Shoretroopers. That's 2 attacks. We can't play knowledge and defense on all of them, right? And so at some point the damage has got to come through, right? So sometimes a bunch of little attacks can also get through, as long as they're not too many stacked.
And Royal Guard Champion allowing you to attack probably either Yoda and something that you actually do want to attack, like Luke or Ashoka or something. And maybe playing Flurry of Blades to get rid of Yoda, and then attacking something without taking the bonus damage is probably very good.
Yeah, I think also the purges are really good against dodges or modifying the batons. Are anti-dodge, and then the Electro staff says if you modify the defense results, aka anything with Rivio, you take an extra damage. So those can actually be really efficient figures against these types of lists.
That is true. I don't know if those were just included in lists as meta inclusions, or just they fit the theme well, but I think we saw 2 or 3 lists with Purge Troopers.
With Purge Troopers, yeah, there were 3 of them floating around. I think I have Jedi too, and I think the benefit of this list is everyone's ranged except Cal. So, I have the range advantage coming in, and Cal also stops that last first combo with his Force Slow. So there's going to be some way of doing that. Meg still can always shoot back, right? So,
I think, funnily enough, I think my list doesn't do too bad against this. If I can get rid of Yoda especially, they doesn't really have any ways to get rid of conditions outside of Yoda, and them being all melee and relying on bonus defenses to block damage doesn't. I don't really get affected by.
The strain damage is really.
Yeah, and the strain is great because if I can pitch, Son of Skywalker.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. It's pretty nice.
Yeah, under duress. Oh, I was realizing I'm not sharing any of these different lists that we're talking about as I'm scrolling through them. But yeah, for the viewers, sorry, we have of course the Boba Fett list, the other Jedi list, but notably I have Fool Me Once, and the Jedi the second Jedi list is not. So we'll have to see if that makes a difference. Can one of us redraw knowledge and defense, the other one cannot? I think Fool Me Once is definitely an underrated card for against also Afra. So there's a lot of Afra in this. These lists too. I think there was a couple Afras somewhere.
I'm running one.
Oh yeah, there's one here. There's an Afra.
One in the IG Bantha list.
In the IG list, yeah.
And,
so definitely a lot.
And just Leia. I mean, you're running the Leia, but I think we saw.
Yeah, I have
2. I think we saw 2 or 3 more. I know I'm running Fool Me Once, and we saw.
Yeah, there's a couple. There's a couple more. Yeah. So. Certainly a good pick. So yeah, we'll have to see. We'll have to see what shakes out. Yeah, certainly Boba Fett's going to be strong against. Every list is going to have some of their strong matchups and some of their weak matchups. Boba Fett, Kryptonite is the child, and we see a couple of those. But likewise, the Jedi's Kryptonite is probably Boba Fett. and we saw a couple of those.
Yeah.
So yeah, we will have to see how all of this shakes out.
Yeah, so if you're still watching, or watch this in 2 or 3 parts, I know it's a long video. We already reached an hour and 10 minutes here, so I don't know if we'll do multiple parts. But hope you guys enjoyed it. We'll be going over some game logs quite soon. So I know I have a break week from university next week. If Alex is available, we can probably go over some games, commentate.
Yeah.
We also have Wesley, who's the second flock in the steering committee, who wanted to stream some game reviews. So yeah, we're trying to get back into the content machine. TV Boy or Noah has been on break, on hiatus. So we're trying to take over, and we have had a resurgence in community activity recently, which has been really nice to see. We've got a new season coming up, map rotation, so please, if you haven't been playing recently, or you're just getting started and you're following on, you saw this video looking for campaign content, and you're wondering about Skirmish, please join the Discord link, which will be down below in the description. Come over. We have a nice community where everyone is welcome to play games, even if you've never played. I started playing Skirmish like a year or 2 ago, and now here I am, commentating, making new cards for the game. So yeah, I hope to see some new faces around, and or returning ones, and hope you have a great time playing Skirmish, throwing dice, and shooting bad guys.
And stay tuned for the updates on the rest of the tournament, especially as we get towards the top cut and seeing what shakes out on top. We will definitely hope to have more tournaments coming up, especially as we were soon to release a new upcoming season of cards, and yeah, a lot of surprises in the store. So definitely stay tuned.
Thank you.